What up, my friends? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is packed with so many creative and fun recipes that I did all using the items that were already in my house. But I'm not gonna lie, there was a star of the show. One that kind of stood out, is taking up most of the real estate in this video, and that is a very large turkey. I believe it was a 24-pound turkey. And I wanted to try an unconventional way of cooking a turkey, so we're gonna do that together in today's video. Now, I do wanna let you know that I'm not an expert at chopping up a bird. We are gonna have a segment where I do that. I know some people may not wanna see the guts and glory of chopping up a turkey. Okay, I get it. I'm gonna put timestamps up right here of the duration of when the poultry butchering is occurring. That way, if you don't wanna be a part of that vibe, you don't have to. Opt out. Just get yourself over to the next section. I totally get it. I also try, especially in longer videos, to always include timestamps down below. So if you want to check it out, I'll have it also listed exactly what we're doing. In addition to the turkey, I have some breakfast ideas. I even saw this really cool thing on Instagram for making espresso shots that you can prep ahead of time. And we even make some homemade creamer using the items we have on hand because I didn't want to spend $5 at the store to get some creamer. So I made myself some creamer with the items we have on hand, and I bet they're items you have on hand as well. I'm also going to share tips and tricks along the way of how I get creative when I'm doing a shelf cooking challenge. Basically, what we're doing right now is a shelf cooking challenge that I gave myself some grace with. So what I'm doing is trying to cook through as many things as I can in my house. And then once a week, I'm going to a grocery store or a wholesale club to fill up on fresh produce to supplement the items that we're making. And then I'm adhering to our personal preference when it comes to nutrition and making sure the kids are getting lots of fruits and vegetables. If you happen to be new here, hi, how are you? How's the family? Thank you so much for clicking on that thumbnail and giving me a chance. On this channel, I do a lot of videos like this where I share some recipes to give you some inspiration when you're setting up your menu. Right now, I'm kind of trying to do that shelf cooking challenge. So in these videos, I'm going to share with you some ideas on how you can also accomplish it and use things that you've probably had sitting in your pantry staring at you for a little bit too long, and hopefully give you some motivation to try and cycle through food, because I'm always looking for newer ways to minimize food waste. If you have any other ideas how to do that, please share it down below, because I know a lot of you are super creative out there and probably think of things that I would never think of. And if you happen to enjoy the vibe while you're here, I'd love it if you'd subscribe. Without further ado, because we got a lot to go over, this is chock full of recipes which will all be included down below. Let's dive into the video. Listen, one thing you need to know about me is that among my friends, I'm known for two things: my chili and my banana bread. However, the recipe I usually make with banana bread calls for a lot of butter and a lot of sugar, and that has its moment. Trust me, there's nothing wrong with it. But I did want to have another option in my back pocket that is equally delicious but takes a couple nutritious swaps, especially because I'd be serving it to my 3 toddlers, and you guys, I landed on it here. This version is still super delicious, but I use things like oatmeal, coconut oil, and maple syrup. I even added in a little PB2 powder to give it a yummy peanut butter twist while adding some protein. Speaking of protein, I even tossed in some cottage cheese, gave it some moisture and some extra protein. I'll have the full recipe down below, and I will link me making the OG banana bread. I've since made this recipe twice more, and one time I even added in some shredded carrot that I had to get rid of, and I'm telling you guys, the kids are obsessed. I love the little silicone molds I got on Amazon for this because they make the perfect size for a quick snack or even to have with breakfast. I'll link them down below because they have gotten used way more than I expected. You'll see them again in this video for a mango bread. They're also dishwasher safe, which is always a win. I've even used them to make little egg patties, and they've been great. This recipe here can also easily be made into a big loaf if you wanted, muffins or mini muffins, and it freezes really well, so if you want to make a big batch, you can save some for yourself for later. All right, my friends, we had a 24-pound turkey in the freezer from Thanksgiving that we got for free. And with turkeys, I don't like to go longer than like 6 months in the freezer with those, so I'm gonna make it today. And I have this brine kit. I have never been a brine girl, But these were on clearance for like $1 something right after Thanksgiving at Sam's Club. So I figured I'd just use it up for this. We're gonna be making the turkey quite different. So we're gonna start with the brine kit. I'm gonna get this pot of 8 cups of water boiling. Let's discover this together, shall we? We've got a couple different things in here. We have a seasoning mitt. We have a bag if you're gonna go that route. And then there's a brine mix. So we'll bring this to a boil and then turn off the heat, add the brine mix. And then what you do is you cool it down with 8 cups of cool water and 8 cups of ice. When you go to actually cook the turkey, you're gonna save this seasoning blend for yourself. So instead of us having to use a poultry seasoning, I have this buttery poultry blend from Kinder's to use. So this is exciting. We're gonna get this party started over here, and then we are gonna move over to the sink because we're gonna be butchering a turkey. I've never done it before. We're gonna go on this journey together. All right, we've got the turkey in the package here. I'm going to work on just cutting it open. All right, now what I have for myself is I have a big bowl here that the turkey is gonna go into so I can transport it over to the counter. And I also have my crock pot, you'll notice, my crock pot liner, because I'm gonna take out some of the things like the, what is this called, the gizzards or whatever. We're gonna be making a stock with this. Rather than dirtying a bunch of dishes, I figured I'd just put my stuff right in there. I'm gonna pop open this bag. I think these are the gizzards. I don't know what that's called. Is that the neck? I don't know. Somebody tell me. For somebody who's about to butcher a turkey, I surely don't know what I'm doing. So we're gonna pop those in there. I'm just gonna make sure that like plastic thingy isn't anywhere. Sometimes they give those plastic pop-up things when I don't see one. And I am going to move this bird. I'm just gonna move this bird right into the crock pot for right now for myself. And I'm gonna clean up this trash. I like to always put stuff in a bowl and transport. That way there's not like turkey drippings all over my floor that I have to worry the dogs or kids will lick up, you know? All right, now I'm gonna transfer? Before I transfer the turkey, I'm gonna turn her upside down because I wanna make sure, oh, you know what? Is this something that can come out? Nope, that's a leg. I want to make sure that if there's any like juices in the cavities that it doesn't leak everywhere. I might pat her dry right over here actually. That would be a smart move. I've been making turkeys for 20 years now. I'm a medium adult at this point, and I still swear every time I go to process a turkey, I'm like, what do I do? Which is wild because it's not that different from a chicken. It's just bigger. She's just thicker. Now we will transfer. Now, before I go over to the turkey, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the crock pot filled about halfway with water because we're gonna be adding items into this. But I figure get this party started on low. That way this isn't sitting like room temperature and it's starting the cooking process. And then we can just add as we're going. Okay, now I like to keep a bag in my freezer of veggie scraps. So I'm gonna dump those in there. And we'll probably add some more veggies after as well. Guys, the hot tub is bubbling. So I turned off the heat. And then we're gonna take this brine kit and we're gonna dump it in the hot tub. And obviously make a mess when you do that, please. It's vital that you follow the steps of my kitchen. We are going to stir that together. And then we're gonna add 8 cups of ice and 8 cups of cool water. And that'll be ready for the next step. I have about 5 cups of ice because that's all my ice maker will give me. And then we will just leave this on the side, and then I'm gonna get back to the butcher step of the turkey. All right, guys, I hope this is a good angle for this because my kitchen setup is a little challenging when it comes to filming, I'm not gonna lie. But I think this will be okay. I followed a video that I have now watched probably 76 times to study up on how to cut this bird. So I'm gonna have that link down below. He does a much better job at explaining it anyway. So we're just gonna start by, he specifically said, this skin right here, you want it for the breast because the thigh already has enough fat. So he said to kind of pull it away and then lightly slice the skin. We're not cutting the meat at this point, we're just cutting the skin. Except I just cut the meat, but that's fine. Everything's fine. And now we're gonna repeat with this guy over here. And you want your knife pretty sharp. Then the next thing he did was he got rid of the wing. What he did here was he cut like this. And then he popped it. Isn't it amazing how people make things look so simple? You know what amazes me is that there are people that do this with like a whole deer. Like if you are a hunting family, that's, wow. I think I just keep getting that skin off. Okay, got it to pop. There we go. So this wing, he suggested just putting directly into the crock pot, so that is what I will be doing. And then we're gonna hana hole, and this one will probably be go a little easier now that I kind of know what I'm doing. All right, beautiful. Got that off. That felt like I just went through a journey there. I'm gonna get more paper towel and kind of soak up a little of the juices. Okay, let me just dry this up a little bit just so juices, once I start flipping her over and stuff, I don't want juices flinging everywhere. And I'm seriously trying to get you, no pun intended, a bird's eye view of this. Definitely don't come to me for like safety tips on this process. I am not an expert whatsoever at it. So next we're gonna be working on the thigh section. So we are gonna flip her over. I'm gonna spin her around my direction. And we are going to cut her down this way. And then he went across this way. First, I think he popped this actually. Something popped over here. And then he went like this, popped it. He took all of this with this leg. So I just went back and rewatched the video. He said, pull and tug, pull and tug. Okay, I can kind of see what he did there. I think too, like his turkey looks like it's like 12 pounds, 14 pounds max, and mine is 24 pounds. So now I'm watching his, like the size of his turkey. I just don't want to lose any meat, but also this is a big bird. That's some progress right there. Definitely not as pretty as his. His came off like looking real nice. I mean, that's pretty good, right? For the first time I've ever done that, you guys, I think that's pretty good. So I'm gonna put this in this bowl over here for myself. And then I'm gonna get to working on this next one. I kind of feel where you gotta pull it out. Much better on this one. Here we go. We did good. That's a nice looking thigh there, Kate. Love that for you, girl. I just found like another something. I'm just gonna cut this off. It's like part of the neck or something that's going in the hot tub there. I'm gonna spin it this way so I have better sight on it. And what he did was he very lightly cut open just the skin, and he went all the way down. And then he said he just lightly cut along the keel bone, he was calling it, until it kind of started to pull away like that. And then what we're gonna be doing is trying to get as much of that meat as possible, that's the breast, to pull away from that center bone. But the wishbone is up here, apparently. So we need to uncover that guy. I mean, if you want to, I don't think you need to. Oh, the wishbone is right here. I mean, I'm not gonna. Maybe he just did it so he could break it, you know? We're doing good there. There's like a bone there. I'm just kind of working around that bone. And I'm just kind of like using my instincts here. Was I a butcher in a past life? Wow. My two main goals right now are to get as much meat as possible and to keep my fingers out of the action, you know? Okay, so what he did was he took, there's like a wing under here somewhere. Oh, here it is. I found it. Again, my bird is so much bigger than his, but he used that to kind of prop it up, kind of just find the joint. And he just kind of kept cutting into it. So he kind of held that wing up and then cut around like that. Okay. Wow, that's big. This is what we're working with to get all the skin there too, which is gonna be great for flavor wise. So now we just have this last section. It's definitely funny how like the second side gets way easier because you start kind of learning it a little more. Oh, look at how big that is, you guys. That's a big turkey breast. I'm gonna have a lot of food. Ooh, this is what remains. I'm gonna throw away this paper towel and go wash my hands. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I actually got myself a second crock pot. I'm gonna put the smaller pieces into the small hot tub, and then I'm gonna put this big guy over here in the bigger crock pot, and then we're gonna get double the efforts for turkey stock. I just realized you probably could hear my dryer in the background. Sorry about that, I closed the door. So hopefully that's better. So I just kind of chopped this in half for myself very carefully. Yours would probably fit just fine. This is a 7-quart crock pot, and that's a 4.5-quart crock pot. I could have probably fit everything in one, but like I said, we might as well double our efforts and get a lot of turkey stock out of this. Okay, so now I'm coming in with, we got some carrot, we have a whole onion, and I'm gonna do like 6 celery. I'm just gonna literally roughly chop this, get that inside each of the hot tubs. These are all gonna get strained out, so there's no need to worry about getting those ugly bottoms off or anything like that. And the onion, I rinsed this off for myself. The other stuff was all clean. So you can just leave the peels on and just roughly chop it and then work it through each of the crock pots. Okay, now I'm gonna just sprinkle in some black peppercorns. We're gonna do a couple bay leaves in each. I'll probably do 3 in this guy and then 2 in the smaller guy. And normally I would just do some peeled garlic cloves, or if you even had garlic scraps left over. But right now all I have is garlic that we had minced for ourselves. So I'm just gonna poke minced garlic right in there. And that is all she wrote. These are gonna get covered. And oh, actually I'm gonna add a little bit more water to this guy. This guy looks good. Well, maybe a little bit. We want to make sure that the turkey is fully submerged. And then we're gonna get the lid on both of those. They'll cook on low for as long as I feel like. And now we're gonna move on to the next step using the brine. Let's just take a look at what we're working with. I feel like that's important. So we've got huge breast here, a second huge breast here, huge thigh, and a second huge thigh. Like, look at all of that meat. I'm gonna put it inside the brining bag. Originally I was gonna put it in like these containers, but I think airtight is really what the goal is here. So I think doing the brining bag but putting it inside this container for myself will make it easier to store it in the fridge. I know some people put it in a, what are those things called? A bucket, but I don't have the room in my fridge for that. So I just kind of like piece that together like a puzzle. And I'm gonna take the brine and I'm gonna just go cups at a time rather than trying to pour that whole pot in there. I think that's great. So I'm gonna try and get the air out without like spilling this. And mine didn't come with a twist tie or anything, so I'm just gonna twist it for myself real good, tie it, and then for good measure, I'm just gonna put a clip on top. I think that's perfect. So this will go straight into my fridge. We're gonna be cooking with it in about 6 to 8 hours. I'm hoping with all the work that went into this that it's worth it. I needed some sides for this turkey, so I decided I have some Brussels sprouts that I need to work through, and I also have some sweet potato we need to work through from the pantry. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that all going for myself. I'm just gonna trim the Brussels sprouts, get the bottom and any ugly leaves off, John is working on peeling up some sweet potatoes for us right now. We have discovered that we like Brussels sprouts to be quartered. That's our vibe. So that is what I will be doing with these. Another great way, if you thought you didn't like Brussels sprouts, is to do shaved Brussels sprouts in a skillet with a little maple syrup. That is a vibe. I'm probably gonna take all of this, to be honest, and then toss it in the turkey stock. All right, we are gonna be working with a sheet pan with the turkey. So these vegetables are going to just cook right under the turkey, which is great because the turkey drippings are gonna season up these vegetables for us. Thank you, good sir.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna go ahead and spray this with some avocado oil. I'm gonna do a light drizzle of some maple syrup. I'm gonna do some everything but the leftover seasoning from Trader Joe's. It's pretty much just like a poultry seasoning, trying to match the vibes of turkey. I'm also gonna do a little zesty Italian blend. You could do paprika on here too. Paprika is great on sweet potato, but I'm skipping that for now. And then we're gonna do salt and pepper. Then I'm just gonna use a little wooden spoon thing to mix that all up. And you will notice, I forgot to mention, but I have a silicone mat down. So do either foil parchment paper or a silicone mat, because for cleanup with all the drippings, that'll just make your life a lot easier. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the wire rack and the turkey so we can get this party started, and I'm gonna preheat my oven to 400 degrees. All right, so this is actually gonna take up 2 sheet pans because she is a beast, okay? So what I did was I put skin side down so I can butter and season this side, and then I'm gonna flip it over skin side up is the way that it's going to bake. When I make Thanksgiving turkey, I usually like to do mayonnaise actually as the rub instead of butter, but we're doing kind of like an apple cider vibe for this one with like those roasted veggies, so I just thought it might be a good idea just to go the traditional route and just do melted butter. If you wanted it to be like leaner, you could just do avocado oil, but this is only 4 tablespoons of butter going across the whole thing, so I think that's fine. I'm gonna flip it skin side up now. I also, when I make the Thanksgiving turkey, I usually like work the butter and everything underneath the skin. All right, we're just gonna do salt, pepper, about 1/3 of the seasoning blend that came with the brine kit. This says it's a butter poultry blend. I just realized I didn't season the other side of this, even though I just said I was gonna do that. Everything's fine. We'll flip it over and do it. And I'm using about 1/3 of this packet because the breast is much more significant. So I want the majority of the seasoning packet for that section. On a hole, flip her over. All right, let me go grab the breast portion. Ooh, she's a heavy girl. So this is the portion that has those veggies underneath it. Okay, and I'll use about half of what remains of this packet. This is probably the side you want to be a little more generous with anyway, because the other side has the skin. This is more exposed meat. Beautiful. Salt, pepper, and season this side. John is about to pop the bird in the oven, and we're gonna cook it for we don't know how long. And I'm gonna start on an apple cider glaze for this. We are really making it work with what we got, you guys. I realize I don't have any applesauce or apple cider on hand. I mean apple juice or apple cider on hand. And I wanted to make like a glaze, and I could have got away with just probably doing water and apple cider vinegar. But then I remembered, hi, I have a juicer, so I can just make juice. So I am chopping up an apple for myself. I core it. I just leave the skin on when I use my juicer because it does allow for that. I'm also, just to give it some extra vibes, I think I'm gonna juice an orange in there with it. But you could just use store-bought apple cider or apple juice. Especially if you're making this in the actual fall time. Apple cider is going to be probably everywhere. I'm just going to roughly peel it for my juicer, just so it's a little easier on it. I honestly actually might just do 2 oranges. I was too lazy to get out my cutting board, you guys. I'm a mess tonight. It's been a day. So I'm gonna just run this through my juicer here, and then we will get back to the glaze. Perfect, that yielded us 12 ounces of juice. I think I only need a cup or something like that. So we got half a cup of apple cider vinegar going in here and half a cup of that juice we just made, which is a combination of apple and orange. We're gonna do 1/4 a cup of maple syrup. Got a couple cloves of garlic. Do a little squeeze of Dijon, maybe about a tablespoon's worth. Dijon mustard. Do some paprika, about half a teaspoon of paprika. And I'm gonna do about 1/4 a teaspoon of cinnamon, a little bit of pepper and salt. Stir that up and we'll get that glaze going. We just want it to get kind of thickened up. Should only take about 10 minutes. And then we're gonna start just brushing this on the bird about every 15-20 minutes. Once we got this turkey party started, it got a little loud and a little hectic in the house, so I wasn't able to continue walking you guys through because you wouldn't have been able to hear me. But what I ended up doing was 2 rounds of the glaze on the turkey. So I cooked the turkey for about 20-25 minutes, pulled it out, glazed it, put it back in the tanning bed, did another 20 minutes or so, and then did a second round of the glaze. The thighs ended up cooking faster than the breast did, which makes sense because there was a lot more meat on the breast. I ended up just kind of continuing to monitor it. I want to say this entire thing took about 2 hours, but again, I had a very large bird. It was 24 pounds or something like that. So I would just look up online for the size of the bird that you have, how long it would take, or just use a meat thermometer to make sure that it came up to the correct temperature. I have a turkey recipe that I love, that I've shared on here before, that I stand by. And if you want that big, beautiful presentation where the bird is all together and you can carve it up at the table, that is the one to go for. But if you're just wanting to come up with a way to use up a turkey, maybe your employer gives you a free turkey, that's where we got this one from, or you had a grocery coupon for 99 cents a pound turkeys or something that you're trying to work through, this recipe right here yields such a delicious protein that you could use in a million different ways. What we ended up doing is taking some of it, vacuum sealing it, and sticking it in the freezer, and then just enjoyed the rest of it. This was a total win and one I would definitely recommend. Guys, John had the best idea ever. We wanted to make some burgers, but we don't have burger buns. So I was gonna make them from scratch. But then John said, what if we put them on the Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits that we need to work through? And I'm like, oh my goodness, you were so good at this too. So we are going to make this per the instructions. We need 3/4 cup of cold water, which I got myself. We need half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese, which I'm just gonna eyeball there. I'm also gonna put a little Parmesan cheese in it because I can do what I want in my kitchen. Probably about 1/4 a cup of that. And then we need 1 pouch of the mix. And then it says to mix that together, but do not over mix. John also preheated the oven to 425 degrees because that's what the box says to do. We will just get these on a sheet pan, get them in the oven. They bake for 14 to 16 minutes until they're golden on top, it says. John's gonna work on the burger patties themselves, and we will have a fun Sunday night dinner. It's Sunday today, and we're gonna have some burgers for dinner. Maybe a little side salad with it. And this is gonna make 10 biscuits apparently. But I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna probably make like 6 because we want them to be larger so they can fit burgers. So I ended up doing like 4 portions, but we're gonna get this in the oven now, 14 to 16 minutes. Because these biscuits are larger, I'm guessing we need to go more like 18 minutes. right, guys, John is working on the burger patties, and I decided it would be a good idea, because we're gonna have extra burgers, to make some burger bowls for our lunches tomorrow. I also went ahead and put the plates together so they'll be ready for him. So I just did like a little side salad, just very basic. Romaine, cucumber, tomato, a little shredded cheese. I'm gonna probably do a lemon vinaigrette on mine, and John's gonna do this creamy salsa dressing. So in mine, I have some bacon bits, some blue cheese crumbles, and some sunflower seeds. Also some cucumber and tomato. It's kind of like a burger bowl vibe. John's has cheddar cheese, bacon bits, sunflower seeds, cucumbers, and tomatoes. And this is the dressing I put in there. I know it's not really like burger vibes.
It's good vibes.
It's good vibes. Sean really likes it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little of this dressing on his for tonight. Boom. And then let me go grab mine. All right, so this is the one I grabbed. It's a lemon vinaigrette. And I'll just have this in the fridge tomorrow, so I don't need to put it in the to-go container. Oh, John, I almost needed your biceps, man.
I'm here.
That didn't want to open.
They're ready to support you whenever you need.
One of my favorite things is when John and I team up on dinner. So like right now he's working on the burger aspect and I'm working on the sides basically, and then lunch tomorrow. Team effort over here.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right.
Ooh,
all right.
Get this on camera.
John's gonna take over now. We're gonna slice these biscuits in half. Yeah. That's perfect. Boom. What's awesome is that means that we can have them for breakfast sandwiches tomorrow.
Oh.
So let's just discuss that we made this biscuit mix and it's handling dinner tonight. We're doing lunch tomorrow, and then the extra biscuits will be fried egg and some cheese, and breakfast is handled. So we just took care of like 3 meals in one sitting.
Sweet.
You know? Making dreams come true from the pantry.
I do the cheese like this because then when you squish it down, it'll ooze from the middle out. Whereas if you do the cheese just like a slice on top of it, I feel like you lose a lot of it to the pan. And then we got our little garnish. Bam, dinner.
We're a mess, you guys, but John, what do you think?
This is one of the best ideas I've ever heard.
I agree.
This is so good.
Why are people not doing this?
I don't, well, I mean, it is very
Messy?
messy.
I really think that sliders would be a vibe.
This is amazing.
Amazing.
Do this.
Do this. All right, we made some banana bread earlier, and now we are going to make its tropical cousin, mango bread. This has most of the same ingredients that I used in the banana bread, but one thing I just wanted to call out is that I had chopped up a couple of mangoes, and then I actually used my food processor to turn them into basically a puree. I just wanted to make sure it was easier for the kids to chew through. I'm sure you could just go ahead and roughly dice the mangoes. I just wanted to take it one step further. And one other difference that I did in this one is instead of cottage cheese for these, I ended up using Greek yogurt. I will of course include the recipe down below for this if you're looking for a fun summer recipe to try. The kids went crazy for this version too. I don't know if I could tell you which is their favorite because their mouths were too full to give me any feedback for corporate. Okay, so we were headed on a road trip in our RV before this, and I usually just buy some coffee concentrate and store-bought creamer to take with us, But in the interest of shelf cooking and trying to be very strict with our food budget, I decided I would just whip up a homemade creamer using items I already had on hand. I saw this idea from my friend Mandy from Mandy in the Making. She shared some really great versions, but today I wanted to go with a French vanilla vibe. I combined a cup of milk, a cup of heavy cream, and 1 can of sweetened condensed milk with a pinch of salt in a pot on the stove, which I had set to low medium-ish. I also had a vanilla bean paste from Trader Joe's I wanted to empty because throwing away a fully used product is just oh so satisfying. It was a bourbon version and it was absolutely delicious for this, but you could also just swap in some plain old vanilla extract if that's what you have on hand. I whisked it all together. I made sure not to bring it to a boil, just let it heat up together. And once it cooled, I transferred it to a few milk jars. This stores in the fridge for about a week, but I managed to drop an entire one all over the floor right after this, so we only had 2 to work through and no problem doing that before the week was up. Once we had the creamer set up, we moved on to making some brown sugar espresso shots. I saw this on Instagram. I'll link the original video down below. I used my little juicing 2-ounce wellness shots and I put a tablespoon of brown sugar in each. Then John used our Breville machine to brew up some espresso shots for each of them. We bought this machine back in December, and at the time, it felt like such an investment because it's very pricey. But you guys, I swear I have saved so much money by having it. I used to be a Starbucks girly, but then a couple years ago, we got a Nespresso, and that helped me cut back on that habit. But with the Nespresso, the pods were costing us anywhere from $50 to $100 every month. Plus, I was buying coffee syrups to mix in, which was another $40 to $50 a month. With the Breville, the coffee is such good quality that I've only placed an order once this year. And we just buy a bag of good quality beans when we go to a wholesale club, and it usually lasts us 2 to 3 months for only around $20. I had done a good amount of research on these coffee machines and ended up going with kind of the middle of the road. They have one that's a little bit fancier that had more automated features that I felt like we just didn't need. What I love about this one is it does have a grinder built right into it, so you grind the coffee beans right before you brew the espresso, which is awesome. I'll link the exact one that we got down below in case you've been considering mixing up your coffee game as well. In the RV, I just set out a cup of ice. I poured in some milk, some of the creamer we had made, and one of these little espresso shots, and then stirred it all up. We drank it on the way to the Disney parks and didn't end up getting coffee the entire trip. Big savings, and honestly, it was way better tasting. All right, guys, I wanted to show you how we're doing on the fridge over here. So up top, I have some coleslaw that I had put together. I also made myself an onion dip using Greek yogurt. That was really good. So I have some of that left. We have a couple baked potatoes that John had meal prepped last night. These are great for quick lunch options and things like that. I am working through that cottage cheese in the back, probably trying and figure out something with that. I also have Greek yogurt we're working through. We're down to only 2 eggs. Oh my goodness. We worked through a lot of watermelon. This is what's left for juicing. John had prepped sweet potato pancakes for the kids, so we have that. He also made some homemade chicken nuggets for them and some homemade macaroni and cheese. This is their dinner already ready to go. We have the salad bar, pretty light right now. We have like the iceberg mix. I have some whole cucumbers, and then I also have some sliced cucumbers. I like to do that so they don't get like all slimy. And then I have some of my favorite topping in the back, which is a combination of sliced almonds, sunflower seeds, and cranberries. I have some strawberries that I reserved for juicing, and then in here, this is kind of like the kids' breakfast options. So right now we have a lot of watermelon we're working through, and then some strawberries for them as well. I do the same thing for the strawberries as I do the cucumbers. I slice up some of them and then leave some of them whole. And over here, we just kind of have milks and stuff. We have this new dip that we got at Sam's Club that I need to figure out how to work through. But down here, I have this huge thing of coleslaw mix, some green beans, running pretty low on lemons and limes. I use that in juicing, and only a little bit of celery left for juicing. Over here, we just have a loaf of bread, hemp hearts, bacon bits, things like that. Over here, we're running really low on cheese, so I did just do a BJ's pickup order, and we got some cheese. Running pretty low on salami, but that's just gonna have to wait. We're running low on ham. This will probably get finished off for breakfast tomorrow morning on some English muffins. But I did turkey this round from BJ's instead. I have like 1 piece of mozzarella to use up and some Laughing Cow. I need to do something with this bell pepper and jalapeno for sure. This is for the kids, and they will eat those in the next like 4 business days probably. So that is the status of our indoor fridge right now. I'm gonna show you my outdoor fridge next. All right, outdoor fridge is looking great. And when I say great, I mean, we're working through it really well. So on the top, we have these pancakes. That's coming with us on a road trip. I have some carrots for juicing. We have some romaine left that we'll use in our salad bar. Some milks, oranges for juicing. Down here, we have a bunch of like burgers and sausage, but that's all good till like June or July. So I'm not stressed about that really right now. And then I have a thing of beets that I think was good until like August. On the door, we just have a bunch of cream cheese and butter. That's everything that's like immediate that needs to be worked through between both of the fridges. All right, you guys, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. It means the absolute world to me. I hope you're walking away with at least one thing you can get on the menu or some inspiration to go check out what you have on hand. If you've made anything creative recently, please let me know down below because I need the ideas, you guys. I gotta keep going on this train, so I could use your help with that. I hope I delivered whatever you needed when you clicked on that thumbnail, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye.